Welcome to The Explainer. If you're the kind of focused learner who absolutely loves breaking down complex private market data into actual, actionable insights, well, you are in exactly the right place. Honestly, if you've ever lost your mind staring at overlapping, messy spreadsheets, today is your lucky day. We are unpacking a powerful new feature in the India portfolio that's going to completely change the way you look at fund data. We're talking about the brand new Fund Portfolio Comparison Tool, and it is a real game changer. So let's start with the core high-stakes problem facing LPs and GPs right now. When you're trying to analyze competitive dynamics and co-investment patterns in the Indian private market, how do you actually directly benchmark two competing funds? Up until now, you probably had to pull completely separate spreadsheets, cross-reference tons of messy data, and manually search for overlaps just to see who invested where and exactly when. It's tedious, it's a total recipe for eye strain, and frankly, it leaves a lot of room for error. But what if you could do the whole shebang instantly? Here's our roadmap for today. First, a new dimension of analysis. Second, a real-world look at Kadara versus Chris Capital. Third, a deep dive into some powerful filters. Fourth, the portfolio comparison difference. And finally, number 5, some important limitations to note. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, a new dimension of analysis. Okay, let's dive into this. Having the ability to directly compare any two funds basically gives you 4 major analytical superpowers. First step, direct fund benchmarking. Ever wanted to see how a specific VC fund's sector allocation stacks up directly against a PE fund? Or maybe you want to put two fierce competitors head-to-head? Well, you can now do that directly. Second is sector and year-level granularity. Have you ever wondered when exactly a competitor moved into a specific space? The comparison matrix shows you exactly where each fund deployed its capital, broken down by industry and by calendar year. Third, we have common portfolio discovery. Now, this is massive for spotting co-investment patterns. You can instantly see which companies both funds backed without cross-referencing a single external document. And fourth, investment vehicle level analysis. What if you only care about recent funds? You can actually drill all the way down to specific vehicles, like a Fund I or a Fund 3, just to see how a broader strategy has evolved over time. Moving right along to Section 2, real-world Kadar versus Chris Capital. Look, concepts are great, right? But seeing it in action is always better. When you load up Kadara Capital versus Chris Capital, the comparison matrix organizes their portfolio companies by sector in the rows and investment year in the columns. And it brilliantly illustrates the data using a very specific visual language. It's like a color-coded map. A blue badge means the company was invested in only by Fund A, in this case, Kadara. A green badge means it was invested in only by Fund B, or Chris Capital. Now, keep an eye out for the symbols. A purple badge with a little star means both funds invested into the company in the exact same year. Finally, if you see a blue and green badge with a hash symbol, that indicates the company was backed by both funds but in different years. It's incredibly intuitive once you know the code. And, before you even scroll down to the full matrix, the tool gives you this instant summary snapshot right at the top. This is high-energy, immediate intelligence. Boom, you instantly get the total active Indian portfolio companies for each fund. You see the exact number of common portfolio companies they share. And, just like the badges we literally just talked about, it breaks down those commonalities into same-year investments marked by the star and different-year investments marked by the hash. In 10 seconds flat, you understand exactly how deeply these two funds overlap. Let's get into Section 3, deep dive into powerful filters. Seeing the whole picture is fantastic, but targeting your due diligence is where you really find the alpha. Now, what's really interesting about this is how the filtering capabilities are split into 2 distinct levels. On one side, you have filters that apply to the entire matrix, meaning both funds at the same time. You can filter by specific sectors to see industry-specific battles, or filter by years to isolate recent activity versus historical trends. But on the other side, we have filters that apply to just one fund at a time. Each fund has its own dropdown showing its distinct investment vehicles. This means you can look at Kadara's Fund 3 specifically, all while keeping Christ Capital's entire historical portfolio right there on the board, or vice versa. So let's see how this actually builds a complete due diligence narrative. Imagine you're an LP evaluating a GP, or maybe you're an analyst trying to uncover a competitor's secret playbook. Step 1. You select a specific historical vehicle. Let's say Kadara Fund 3. Step 2, you check the exact sector focus for that specific vehicle. Step 3, you track how that strategy evolved by looking back at Fund I, then Fund 2, and then back to Fund 3. Step 4, you spot whether the later funds followed the exact same sector thesis or if they quietly pivoted into entirely new territory. I mean, this level of granularity is absolutely invaluable for anyone tracking the evolution of investment strategies in the Indian market. It lets you piece together the story like a detective uncovering a major shift in capital deployment. Which brings us to Section 4, the portfolio comparison difference. Now, if you are a frequent user of the India portfolio, you might be asking yourself right now, wait a minute, didn't they just release a portfolio comparison feature? You'd be right, but the crucial point is understanding which tool to use for which job. The Portfolio Comparison tab, which was introduced previously, sits inside a fund's detail page. It compares a fund against its broader peer group at a sector level. That is perfect if you want to know if a fund is contrarian or conformist compared to the rest of the market as a whole. But this new Portfolio Comparison tool, it's a completely standalone analytics page. It lets you choose any two funds for direct benchmarking, and it provides sector, year, and vehicle level granularity. Simply put, the old tab gives you market context, the new tool gives you a highly granular head-to-head matchup. Finally, we have Section 5, important limitations to note. As with any truly powerful tool, knowing your boundaries is honestly just as important as the data itself. So, to keep your analysis sharp, keep these insider caveats in mind. First off, the matrix only shows active portfolio companies. Any exited companies, they're excluded. Second, it only includes Indian portfolio companies. Third, because it focuses on modern momentum, it only displays companies with an investment year of 2016 or later. Fourth, vehicle data relies entirely on source availability. So, if a fund hasn't publicly disclosed which vehicle made the investment, it might just show up as NA or non-actual. And finally, because this intelligence is sourced directly from fund websites and news outlets, any inaccuracies from those original sources might naturally flow through to the platform. There is also one very specific technical edge case regarding the filters that you definitely should be aware of. Sometimes a single company is backed by multiple vehicles from the exact same fund, say both Fund 2 and Fund 3 invested in it. Well, if you filter your view by selecting either one of those vehicles, that company will still show up in your filtered matrix. It's actually a smart default. It ensures you don't accidentally miss a major portfolio company just because it received follow-on capital from a newer vehicle. All of these updates, they point back to a singular core mission. They are constantly upgrading the platform, putting together the pieces of the data and deals layers to build out India's absolute finest platform. In their own words, they're building the deal-making platform for the AI era. And this ensures that all the heavy lifting of data organization is completely done for you, leaving you free to focus on what actually matters, strategy. Which leaves us with the most important question of all. Now that you can look at the market through this incredibly focused side-by-side lens, tracking sector shifts, timing overlaps, and vehicle-specific strategies in real time, how are you going to use these new dimensions of analysis to uncover your next big deal? The data is perfectly structured, it's waiting for you, and it is time to start comparing like a pro. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Get out there and happy deal making.